The difference between velocity and speed is pretty simple in that velocity is our vector and speed is a scalar measurement. So speed, the more simple one I think, is a scalar quantity that signifies only the magnitude of the rate of change of the object's movement. So how fast are you going? Velocity has the magnitude of the rate of change and also the direction of the object's movement. So for example, if you are going 25 meters every second, that is your speed, 25 meters per second. But if you add a direction, that's when you get a velocity. This will be 25 meters per second north. So I know the direction as well as the speed. And you can see the difference here in the formulas, how we would calculate these different values, is that speed is actually your distance over time. We remember that distance is the scalar quantity. Displacement is, or velocity, is actually your displacement over time. So we know the scalar distance versus the vector displacement. This is actually how far are you moving away from a certain thing per time. That's velocity. It comes with a direction. So vectors are represented by arrows. Normally when I say velocity, it would come with an arrow on top to let you know that this is actually a vector. So when you see variables with these arrows, that means they're a vector. You will also see them represented like this. So for example, if I were representing a situation, I might draw my object and then draw the vector, say this way, 2 meters per second. And you always have to declare a positive direction when you're dealing with velocity. So if I draw this arrow and call it positive 2 meters per second, I know this is the positive direction. If I were going in the other direction, your velocity would now be negative. That's what a negative means. So if I'm going this way at 2 meters a second, I'm going negative 2 meters per second. Now that doesn't make much sense from what you're used to in terms of speed. Speed is the scalar quantity. So 2 meters per second is 2 meters per second no matter what. If you're traveling 2 meters every second, then you're going 2 meters per second. It doesn't make much sense to go negative 2 meters per second, but that is actually indicating your direction. That's what makes this a velocity instead of a speed. If I said to the right is positive and you're going this way, then you're going in the negative direction. And if you're going 2 meters a second, you're going negative 2 meters per second. You can also signify that by changing the direction. Let's say I was going 5 miles per hour north. If I then said I'm going negative 5 miles per hour now, that means you know that you're actually going 5 miles per hour south. So you've changed the direction. You've completely turned around because now it's negative. So I know that negative 5 miles per hour south is the same as saying I'm going 5 miles per hour north. If I'm going the opposite of south, I'm going north. So the opposite of 5 miles an hour south is 5 miles per hour north. A negative vector flips that arrow over.